Let me think of something that's with our
Just
class.
ask me
That
the
would be
story
better
up front.
yet.
Ask the story again.
You
First,
asked.
we're gonna ask your name and have you spell your last name.
My real name's Jerry Kinder, but I go by Bo.
Okay.
Kinder spelled Kinder.
Okay.
Okay, what else would you like to know?
Well, tell us about what year you graduated from Aurora High School
Class of '59.
okay.
And the memorable times of '59 was probably the day we graduated. I sat there in the gym, and I looked around at the group, about 80, and I said, you know what? I don't want to get out of school. I was having a good time. And we had a group of people that, as you see today, our class meets every Friday, part of it, at 5 different restaurants. And that's the thing I think we really need to hang on to, is remember where we're from. And what transpires in the 50s, I don't ever remember any crisis as such. We talked about this before. When we were kids in the little town of Aurora, divorce wasn't even thought about. I can only remember one divorce case all through my high school years. And that was something that nobody ever talked about. And today the kids are having to live with single parents, and that's sad. But to get back to what you wanted to talk about as far as school and the '59s, we were competitive always against Lawrenceburg. I used to be, I had a girlfriend that went to Lawrenceburg. I went to Aurora, and I remember a Lawrenceburg-Aurora basketball game in our gym. My mother and dad always sat down on the front row. And my mother tells the story. She poked her dad once and says, look at Bo's girlfriend over there jumping up and down when they'd make a point. And she said, now watch Bo. Looked over there and I was jumping up and down. I was in the band. And that's the way it went, back and forth, back and forth. But it was neat because I can come and think of about 5 guys that married Lawrenceburg girls. And matter of fact, my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, Don Roman, is from Aurora and married Rosemary, Barb's sister. So it's a different life. I'm glad we were in that era. I remember one of the things I'd want to bring up is Guy Grayhouse had his theater. And there was a movie on. A guy by the name of Bob Townsend, Dan Ryder, myself, went to the movie, and a song came on. And it was Bill Haley and the Comets, Rock Around the Clock. Blackboard Jungle was the movie. Glenn Ford was starred in it. And when we walked outside, we looked at each other and said, what have we got here? And I really put that as the day rock and roll started. It was Bill Haley and his Comets, Rock Around the Clock. And from then on in, we had some vision people that brought in the Lions Club that built our teen canteen. I was very fortunate. You had to be a teenager to go there. Between 13 and 19. Once you reached 20, you were done. And we were very fortunate to have a fellow by the name of Dan Niels. And he was the manager. And he used to be my scoutmaster. But anyway, Dan ran the place in harmony. And you could bet after every basketball game, football game, the place was open. And if you wanted to find your buddies, that's where they were at.
Where was the canteen?
Pardon?
Where was the canteen?
Where your VFW is now.
Okay, so it
Yep.
was on Lower 2nd Street.
Lower 2nd Street. It used to be a theater. They made it into a roller rink. It was left as a roller rink when we took it over. And, well, we used to have people come in. I remember one guy that you probably never heard of come down and sing to us. His name was Andy Williams. He was one of our guest singers. And Dale Wright came. And then we used to get a bus and go to Indianapolis to Coney Island and go to Bob Braun's TV dance party. I think we won a Coke cooler one time there. So, you know, looking back at my childhood, I don't envy what we did. It's just the idea it was timing. That's a part of life where it was simple. And I really concern myself with youth today because I think they're really missing out on something. They're having to grow up too fast.
We talked earlier with some other graduates that were a little bit younger than you, but they say some of the same things about how much they appreciated being born at the right time and living at the right time in their minds. Tell us about some of the things that really strike your mind as what made it so good. What are some of the traits that or happenings and what made it so great?
Well, Ulrich's Drugstore was a great place to go. I used to put my elbow up on the parking meters, and if you wanted to look for somebody, they're going to come by here before they go over to the canteen. And old Werb Ulrich, I bet he kicked me out of there a half a dozen times. And, you know, it was things like that that was neat. Different places to go. I remember when the Greendale got its new swimming pool, a fellow by the name of Ronnie Knox and I used to take our swimming suit rolled up in a towel, walk down here at the corner at Ulrich's, stick our thumb out, hitchhike to Lawrenceburg. They'd let us off at the first stoplight, cross the street, get another ride out to Greendale, swim all day, and hitchhike back home. Never thought a thing about it. People would pick us up and say, "You going to swimming?" "Yep." And that's the way we used to get around. To do that today, there's no way, Jack. No way would I hitchhike at my age.
Yeah. Tell us about you mentioned earlier in the conversation, you know, some guys from Aurora married up, and they married up to somebody from Lawrenceburg. Tell us about your bride, what her maiden name is, her first name, maiden name, and how you met.
Well, Barb and I met at the canteen. Lawrenceburg kids could come to our canteen, but they couldn't vote. Only the Aurora kids governed the canteen. The rules were set up, so Barb and all Mary Jane Terrell and several other girls would come down, and the neat part of the canteen was we had a jukebox in there with all modern songs. Pat Boone, Elvis Presley, and all of it, and you never put a dime in it. All you had to do is go over and push the button, and all of a sudden it'd come on. And I think everybody danced. I work with youth kids today at church, and I'm so disappointed all they do is jump up and down. And I told our minister one night, I said, "Hey, we need to teach these kids how to dance." And I said, they're going to go off to high school, and they're going to get involved in the prom, and all they're going to do is stand around and jump up and down. I said, you want to hold that person. You don't want to let them go running loose someplace. So he didn't like the idea. He said, we need to cool that down. Don't get into that.
So you met Barb. What's Barb's maiden name?
Broughton.
Broughton.
Her dad was named John Broughton, and he owned Broughton's Cafe in Lawrenceburg. Bruce's Cafe was what the name of it, I guess. But anyway, Barb has 4 brothers, 1 brother and 3 sisters, and most of them are out of town. And John Broughton's her brother, who was the athletic director of Pendleton Heights. And Rosemary, her sister, still lives in Connecticut. And so we get together about once a year and at a family reunion. We still do that. But I think back to the subject on school, I thought our teachers were neat. We had guys like Bob Shelby. I could tell you stories on Shelby that just, if he was to teach today, 15 minutes after it started, they'd have him locked up, being cruelty to a student. There's no doubt about it. Of course, you stop and think about it, Shelby was the industrial arts teacher. Well, you take a bunch of high school kids and stick them in with chainsaws and stuff like that, you best be real strict with them. Somebody's gonna get cut up on it. But anyway, he was a neat person, and we respected him. I don't think we ever did call any of the teachers by their first name. It was either Mr. Tom, Mr. Hickman. My wife's telling me that we're just about finished with this interview. She wants to get uptown.
Okay, well, we can resume this, and maybe we could get both of you on camera. And
No, you'll never get her on
Talk
camera.
about how you met.
Well, yeah, that's the story in itself.
That's what I really want to hear.
We've been married 57 years.
Let's resume our conversation later.
Oh, come on.
Thank you.
Can you make it?
Yeah.
You're getting old.
Yeah.
Thanks, Bo. Thanks for it.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
You guys got a good job going.
Well,